Today is May 2nd, 2023. This is the Hannah City Village Council meeting. Ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Before we do public recognition and guests, I ask the clerk to please swear in the two trustees that need to be sworn in, please.
We're just going to stand at your desk and raise your hand, and you're just going to insert your name, and we're going to do it all together. Well, I'll say it, and then you guys can repeat it. I, and your name,
I, Jeff Chevali,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
And thank you, Rod Weaver, which you are the trustee of streets, storm sewers, and waste management. And trustee Jeff Charavelli is finance trustee. Thank you. There you go.
And then we're going to hold on a second to the rest of the
Somebody said,
please.
what? Those guys?
Heart attack.
Yeah.
You guys can probably hear the siren. We're going to wait until after it gets done.
Okay, everybody hear us a little better now? Thank you, Abby. Can't tell if you're shaking your head or not, Danny.
Yes, I was. Sorry.
Okay. Danny, you just here to observe?
Yep, just here to watch.
Okay.
Oh, for those of you out of loop, our esteemed citizen Danny Pearson is also our newest at-large member of the CEDC. He volunteered over the weekend, and after being briefed and met with Brian, he's for some reason decided to go through with it.
Thank you, Danny. Welcome.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
And he's already providing valuable insight.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much, Danny, for stepping up and doing that. Doesn't get a lot of glory or anything, but it's really nice to have the residents involved.
Not a problem.
Jake, did you want to comment on anything? You're just here to observe, sir?
I'm here for business for the fire department.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. This is a public forum for public input. Go ahead, Jake.
We had submitted earlier today liquor license for our pork chop dinner. We're requesting the fee be waived.
Jake, do you know who they turned it into?
I believe it got dropped in the slot. nobody
Okay.
was there.
When is the event?
June 3rd.
Okay. We'll need to review that, Jake, and then bring that up at our next board meeting so we can get it on the agenda because that requires a vote, and we'll have to have it on the agenda to vote for it.
Okay. And then we were also requesting permission to shut down between Hannah Street and 116 on Main Street for the event as well.
As you normally do.
What was the date again? I'm
Yes.
sorry, June?
Third.
June 3rd.
From when to when would you want the shutdown?
It would be from 4 to, I believe, midnight.
And that would be South Main and
No, it's not South Main. It's Main south of 116.
North Main.
It's North Main today.
Yep, south of 116, the 200 block of Main Street.
that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We'll review that, Jake, and we'll get that on the agenda for next meeting so we can get it before the board.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustees are already sworn in. Wow, going fast. So everybody should have a copy of their April 18th, 2023 council meeting minutes. Actually said it right. Please review those. And for reviewing those, if there's no corrections, changes, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve previous meetings minutes.
Second.
I have a motion by Pearson, second by Cherivalli. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Ms. Cassandra.
Nothing out of the ordinary on the treasurer's report itself. There is 3 payroll sheets on the back of it, one for each payroll and then one for the bonuses that we were done for the staff. So there are 3 of those. Also wanted to mention that we just checked the Illinois Funds account for the month of April. We earned $3,500 in interest.
Hey, $3,500 already.
That wasn't even a full month.
Yeah,
Was already worth it.
yeah, definitely.
And honestly, let's pause for a second. This doesn't happen if she doesn't bring this idea to us from Germantown. So
Exactly.
great job.
Would you like a job?
I think I have one.
Also, we get feedback. I'm going to bring this up during the treasury report because it has to do with payroll and bonuses. The staff definitely wanted everyone to know, all the board members, that they don't take it lightly that they got a bonus this year. They greatly appreciated it, and we had the extra funds to be able to do that. Something we've never done in that amount before since I've been here. I don't think you guys have never done that, have you, Rod? So last 15 years roughly for me, 20
Something.
for Rod, so never done that. The staff didn't want you guys thinking, well, they, got the bonuses and, they just think they're going to get it every year, thing like that. But they wanted to know that they really appreciated it, and it definitely helps. So, especially these times. So, just want to make sure that the board was aware of that from the staff. So,
And the surplus was there because of it.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's why the surplus was there, definitely.
Oh, and just FYI, in the budget for next year, we only budgeted 20 grand, I think, for Illinois funds. So 1 month is not a trend to make, but if you take 3,500 times 12, that's 42 grand. So that would be almost double what we budgeted.
Ooh, I get a pay increase.
Good stuff.
So everybody should have a copy of the treasurer's report. You've looked over it, don't see any discrepancies, have any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion for the treasurer's report.
Dan?
And
And pay all outstanding bills.
Thank you.
In 2 weeks, okay.
You're good. I have a motion by Chair Valley. Do I have a second? Second by Pearson. Any further discussion? We'll roll call that. Weaver?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Chair Valley?
Yes.
Sidak?
Yes.
Motion carries. Anything else, Ms. Cassandra?
Good for me.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Oh, no. Mr. Lott.
Bearer of good news.
That's how it is, pretty much. Brian, just before I get started on anything else, confirm that you got the information you need to run the MFT and Ford Brothers and their request.
Yeah, the only thing we don't have is their start date. So, yeah.
But you got what you need.
But yeah, Joe sent the contract over, and we're good to go. We're just waiting. And I know that, not to get ahead of ourselves, but Roger and those guys are preparing right now for the spray patching they're going to do in the whole town, but specifically lots of areas on the streets that are going to be oil and chipped. So they're working on that now. And again, shout out to Farmington, who allows us to borrow their equipment and some of their help to get it done. We do pay the help, but keeps us from having to pay capital to have our own to do the spray patching. So it's very kind of them.
Yes. Okay, the item I have to discuss tonight is, as we continue to walk through the many steps, the EPA's state revolving fund loan that you authorized us to continue down that road. The intent of this was to submit the project report, get everything in line, find out, get approved essentially to go to bid next year for the water tower project that we have had permitted. We need to re-permit that. I mentioned to you that probably no way we would get into this fiscal year because this does take long. Our schedule had shown the application being complete in October because of the environmental sign-offs and all the sign-offs that are required, and the publication and the meetings and the paperwork essentially, again, for approval towards the end of the year to go out to bid next year. Question last time was, okay, we visited this in 2020 to prepare plans, and the cost estimate at the time was $2.1 million, which we thought was conservative at the time for what is a significant project. What should that number be now as we begin to put together the authorization documentation? You begin to look at your rate and structure, assuming no forgiveness. You have to be able to show that you can fund this loan all on your own, and hopefully you're pleasantly surprised with some level of forgiveness. Maybe it's 50%, maybe it's something less. So I mentioned to you last time that we've had some recent inquiries of bid opening, and thought prices might be high. Yeah, they're high. What we're hearing is what we saw was more than double of what tanks have been. And one of the contractors mentioned they're bidding 3 times what they normally do. There's a lot of money out there, just like you guys, a lot of folks out there wanting to build tanks that have been needed for a long time. So it is a volatile and elevated market. So we would revise that cost estimate to be about $3.6 million right now for the project as you had it designed and planned on. So that warrants some consideration. If it is in fact, again, we had estimated $875 for the tank in 2020. Now it's probably $2 million. That's what we're told for the tank itself. So things are expensive right now. So the question I think in front of you is, do you continue to go forward? The planning process is good for 3 years. You wouldn't bid until next year. Perhaps things will settle down by then. I can't predict that. No one can. Do you put a slow roll it? Maybe pause, start back up maybe in the summertime, see how things are looking. Or if you can show you can pay back $3.6 million, move forward. If you get forgiveness, you get forgiveness. You're not bidding it for a while. And maybe it'll go down. And even if you do bid it, I wouldn't recommend bidding something that you don't plan to move forward with. But we won't bid for a year anyway.
So
the question is, how do you want to move forward?
Well,
If at all.
educate me on the 25 grand that we're going to spend to get the application done. Right. Once that's done, we can, that has a shelf life? You said
3 years.
3 years starting from when?
When it's approved, which we show is at the end of this year. But part of that application is going to be you proving you can pay back what we would say right now is $3.6 million.
So I guess to me the question is, we've already spent some of the 25.
Mm-hmm.
Do we put a pause and re-kick up the process later, or do we move forward? To me, there's two questions. Do we want to pay back 3.6? That's the first question. Whether we can or not isn't.
Right, and you have to show that you can.
I think we can, but I think it would cause, we might have to dip into economic development money, or we might have to cut capital back in other places pretty significantly.
Or you could reduce the project. You know, we did have a nice project. You had demolition and reconstruction of the building, the water salesman, the parking lot, the water main. You know, I don't think you're going to cut it in half, but you know, the community we're working with, not going through SRF, they got a bid back and they're cutting their project down. So you could reduce the projects.
You think the thing that's driving the dollars is available government funds?
That's what we're told. They're bidding. There's work out there. They're bidding.
And can that go away next year?
I don't know. I mean, we're coming up on an election year, so
We're kind of banking on forgiveness, right?
we are. We're banking on half of $2 million,
Right.
not half of 3.6.
But the forgiveness could be gone next year entirely.
Yeah. Or it could be, I mean, depending on what, there could be, 25%, or it could be 30%. It just depends on what the IEPA wants to do.
But we finished spending this money.
I don't think the forgiveness is going to go away, though, based upon the conversations we've had. Now, anything's possible, right?
And we submit, pay this $25,000, end of the year we get approved, and they're like, we're only going to forgive 30. Like that might, at that point, we might be like, okay, well.
Well, we still then have 3 years.
Right, but we're not going to go with it this year. We don't got to accept it right when they approve it, right? And it's still good for 3 years from approval date. You check at the end of the year every year.
Or every 6 months
Or
to
every
see
July
what
or
costs are.
The only problem is, the one question I have is, I want to be careful how I say this. We can prove we could probably pay back the 3.6. The question is, though, we might be doing that not in good faith, right? It's one thing to say we can do it and find a way to do it. It's another thing to know that that's something we would do. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But are we causing a burden to anybody?
Well, I don't know. Maybe not.
We just want to know.
So how does that, so like we would get a new estimate then and then resubmit for something? Exactly.
Yeah, I think we would watch to see, let's say August 1st, maybe talk to the same contractors, look at some more recent bid tabs. And maybe it's down to $3 million. And that's something that maybe is more palatable. And then you restart the process, pass the ordinance that says, with our rate structure or raising our rates, we could pay back the $3 million, then move forward. It really doesn't, and the 25, the work that we're doing, I'm not going to say none of it is wasted, but the vast majority that you were going to do anyway with the financial stuff. You're not, if you hit pause for 2 years, we just start over.
And then what point do we know what the forgiveness is?
Once they approve it and make an offer to you, that's the problem. It's not for a while.
And
But we will know the new rates and the new forgiveness models come out June 1st.
Yeah, but again, I'm not sure that anything's guaranteed.
I get that they're not guaranteed, but at least we'd have another data point on June 1st where we could say, because right now we know the rates are 0.9. Well, after June 1st, it might be 1.5 or something. So we'd have that data point.
You would.
And we would also know whether we still qualify, as we do today, for the full forgiveness or for the 50% or whatever. Doesn't mean we'll get it, but we know whether or not we qualify. So for me, I need to check that date, but I think it's June 1st.
Well, I think you also need to consider how long are we willing to hold out on a water tower regardless. How long can we actually wait? What's it stopping us from doing? I mean, I know there's talk about,
To me, it's
if we extend the town at all, we're screwed. And If the EPA does come crashing down one day,
You've got a design. We need to update the permit. It wouldn't take long, but if you want to write a check for the thing today, we get you a permit and you could go. The effort now is to get help financial help.
right. I'm just saying, you say it's 3.6, you rebid in a year, 4.6.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean,
Or 2.6.
so I would just be curious to know at the end of this year if it's 3.6 and they're like, we're going to give you 50% back. I mean, I don't.
Let me ask
Is anything trending down in the past 5 years?
No. The one other question would be, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh, how often does the EPA do those visits like they just did with us?
They're supposed to be. I think Jim would be able to answer.
I think he told me every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think they're allowed to do it annually, but it's been a long time, if ever, since I remember it being annual.
Some of that's COVID.
Yeah, and it was about every 3 we would write a letter saying we'll get a bigger tank, I promise. But it's been a while because
But we're farther along this time.
Absolutely, yeah, you can prove it.
But I think what you're arguing is I don't want to put words in your mouth, but let's say June 1st is the date. Let's confirm the new interest rate. Let's confirm the forgiveness model. If those look good, let's proceed. We might as well. And
Basically,
then-
got everything in place for
They're
the
not
next
giving us-
3 years.
Yeah, if they're not giving us half back, then we're probably not considering it at all this year.
and then we just wait and see what happens over the next couple of years.
And I think it'll give you an idea of whether or not you qualify for forgiveness at all. Because you're either going to get a good offer for forgiveness or not at all. You'll know you're going to get the same thing the following year, and we got to come up with a whole new plan.
The other thing it does is buys us time to figure out what the difference is in the new water rates, because this next month will be the first month where we've got the new rates and the new costs,
How much more money we've got coming
if
in.
any.
Yeah.
And also,
Don't say if any.
and also something we could do, which we wouldn't be able to do this year, would be able to do next year. We can apply to our congressman for any discretionary funds. We were late in getting notified this year of those discretionary funds availability. So,
In fairness, though, I mean, I agree with that point, but in fairness, that's probably a long shot, isn't it? Yeah, I can make
We've been
it
told it. Yeah. But it's true.
I guess the other point is it would be in good faith with the EPA to continue to move forward, right? Because we could say we've taken it even further from the last time, and we're ready. It's just funding.
I don't think it's bad faith at all when they haven't given us an offer.
No, I'm not saying it's bad faith. I'm just saying I think we'd be putting a better foot forward if we continued, right? To wait and see how it played out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the whole board. Maybe 3.6 is even half of that is something you guys don't even want to mess with. Like you said, take a third off our project by just simply putting up a new water tower.
there would be another option. Can we pause conversation for a second?
We're gonna pause again, guys, for the Saturday. I'm hearing holding pattern until the new, till we know June 1st or whatever, and then proceed. What happens if we get to the end of the year and we've got the program built for the full money, the 3.6 or whatever, and then we say, they're only going to give us X percent forgiveness, so we want to scale it back. Can we do that? Or
Yes, I asked that question. You know exactly. Yeah. Until you did a project and sign the loan agreement, you can come back. Doing more would be difficult, especially if it costs more. Because that's the thing is you've got to prove that you can pay for it. And right now, Sorry. Just wanted to hear. Yeah, in good faith, I think we need to share with you that it could be up to 3.6 or even, I would say you can always pass, if you can pass a $4 million, it gives you plenty of leeway. Hope it doesn't go up. But, our detailed estimate was 3.5 and change. So 3.6 is what we would recommend that you submit to the EPA as the total cost of your project that you want to finance. Very hopeful that by the time you have a project to finance, it is one, partially forgiven, and two, doesn't cost that much.
That might be a little vague as far as the IEPA stuff goes, but so we submit our project, we say we can afford the 3.6. And they say, okay, we're going to give you a loan at X amount of rate with 30% forgiveness. Can we still deny it at that
Absolutely.
time? And we're still in the basket. Our name is still in the hat, or do we have to reapply?
Why would you reapply if you denied it? Thinking you're going to get better terms? Or
Correct. And then you say 6 months or a year later, since our application is good for 3 years, has a shelf life of 3 years, if they come back in a year and say, okay, now we're going to offer, 65% forgiveness at a different percentage rate.
I think what you're saying is you wouldn't even submit then?
no, I guess why would the EPA? I guess the construction costs might come down.
Yeah, I wouldn't be looking at better terms from them.
Yeah, I don't know why they
But
would.
just project costs in general.
Right. But if the project cost was too high, I don't think you'd even go forward and get terms from them.
Okay.
But that would be,
But we don't know if it's 10% or 50%.
Right, and that's the part that you've got to move forward with, and that's a long ways away. I mean, that's next year, even if you don't pause. And frankly, it's next year if you do pause.
Can we find a village just like ours somewhere that's doing the same thing? I mean, is that doable?
I know villages that are bidding tanks,
Similar financials? I mean,
and I know a water district that is in a similar position that has decided to kind of see how prices come. See what it looks like in the summer, to see if it's a little bit more palatable.
I think we've got a plan for at least the next 2 months.
Can we go back on our well?
You don't
I
want
mean,
to
at 3.6, I guess my thoughts would be, let's reline all the sewers unless the EPA is going to make us. Everything's working.
that's what my point was. Is there anything else not doing this water tower is going to stop us that we're trying to do?
But where's that break even? I guess would be the question to where you would want to move forward. At 2 with 50% forgiveness, it seems like a slam dunk.
To me, it depends on what else is not done.
Uh-huh.
Right? Because if the sewer lining's all done, then that's capital money that we now have that we could put into the water tower. I think today we could make 2 or 2.5 million probably work if we got 50% forgiveness, and with the capital we have, and we wouldn't have to change any of our other capital plans. We could move forward and
We still have
and we
other
wouldn't have to raise
projects.
rates, and we'd be good.
But if we could finish up some other projects before we go into this, then we'd have more to put.
I mean, in theory, you could be done. You could be done with your 5. We're in year 3 of the street plan, so you could have 2 mirror years of that done. Well, it's not optimal, but you could put a pause on that, and that's $60,000 a year.
Well, I guess if somebody wanted to build a new company or a neighborhood or something, we would have plenty of time to know. And then we could go forward with our water tower that year if we thought necessary. I'm just curious if a company wants to put up across the street from Casey's, can we even do that?
That's normally about an 8-month lead time.
In Casey's, yes, I think you have decent infrastructure in the middle of the community. It's on the outskirts that you would be hard pressed to do so. And even this tower, it's a pressure thing. You still got to get the water out there. You've got plenty of improvements in the water system itself that could be made if you were looking at growth.
Oh, okay.
And that would need to be made to grow into some of the recently annexed areas.
Things that could help without a new tower, though.
Yeah. The thing with the 116 is the option is always available for them to get right onto Illinois American directly. Which may or may not be a good thing for you.
And then once they're on it, would they be able to come to us?
Yeah. Because we have to do all new hookups and everything.
And I don't know that your ordinance prevents them. I don't know, some do.
So in theory, somebody along 116 could buy water.
On the outside, on the outskirts, so on the areas that you've annexed, way out here.
Okay.
You know,
Not within the village limits.
not now. Well, so I don't know if it's in the limits or not, but let's say way out west.
Yeah, a pre-annex probably could, but I don't know about an annex.
My understanding is you're not obligated to provide them.
Oh, I think that's right.
So if they were to say, all right, we're going to put a factory a mile outside of town that's in the village or in the pre-annexed areas, Illinois American has a water main that runs out there.
Yeah.
So you're not obligated to serve them. So they have options.
You don't make that much money off of water, so.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Right. So those are
Historically, we've lost.
Property tax and they can sell more.
Yeah, I didn't know that was an option. That changes everything, kind of, in my.
So your water system, the tank is probably the first thing, but there are some upgrades that you would need to consider if growth of your water system and serving water customers on the outskirts of your existing developed village limits was of interest.
I mean, I just back up, and I think our mindset, and if I'm saying this incorrectly, you'll holler at me, but I think our point up until this point was, well, we were going to, our mindset was we weren't going to do the water tower, we were going to wait. Well, the thing that brought it forward was the new forgiveness models and the interest rates, right? Because then we thought we could fit it into what we're doing now and afford it and not have to hurt anything else.
But that was also based on the previous projected numbers.
Correct. Now that's changed.
You and 400 other communities.
Correct. That variable is now changed, which, and I think that the only question is, do we move forward and have it teed up and ready to go? And might as well.
Yeah, but like you guys said, maybe in a couple of years we'll even be more financially stable. Start putting more capital towards that out of your line, all the sewers.
We've got everything already set up, and if there's a forgiveness model that's workable, then
Even
how much of the 25 have we already put towards it?
I don't know. I'd have to look at the last bill, but
Yeah.
12 at least.
Huh?
12.
Is it really?
no, it's not that much.
Just
I would say
guessing.
about 5.
1,200.
But I budgeted for that in this year's budget, the full 25, even though I knew we were going to spend some on last year's budget. So.
And again, we're in the process of the paperwork stuff, which doesn't change the sign-offs, the environmental sign-offs, these sorts of things. The question is really moving forward with the administrative portion of it and the financial portion, passing the ordinance. What is defining your project cost-wise so you can show financial ability to pay. And so where do you start? And if
So
3.6 doesn't scare you, maybe you move forward.
what I'm proposing is let's wait till we know what the new interest rate's going to be and what the new forgiveness model looks like and whether or not we still qualify. And that's going to happen in the next month. And then we can revisit the discussion then. So we're not going to spend a ton of money working forward anyway between now and then. So. And I think what I hear is if that all looks good, then we move forward and scope the thing out. And we could scale it back if we wanted to, or we can move forward on the 3.6, or we could scale it back to where it's less. We can make that decision once we know the numbers.
Any further discussion?
How much, for those of you who were here when all of that was being planned and stuff, was there stuff built in of that would be nice to have that would be nice to have that, or is it fairly conservative?
I think it's fairly conservative, just beside the new building, as far as the building and the new.
Oh, I think there's some water main improvements. There's a water salesman, a parking lot. It was more than a tank.
Yeah, the two wants, in my opinion, rather than needs, are the new bulk water station and paving the parking lot. Those are wants, not needs. And I guess maybe the mains, but those are probably somewhere between.
Yeah,
Wants and needs.
You're gonna be glad you got them. But
Yeah,
we didn't just tie into this one. We replaced it.
Paving the parking lot's not going to drop $1 million.
No, it's not a ton of money.
And we're seeing it. Are we seeing it as the price of price of materials, Brandon, the steel and stuff.
Yeah, we jacked everything up to be current to what we see and said, I can provide these two. That's how we went from 2.1 to 3.6. It wasn't all in the tower, but the majority of it.
We might get down closer to 3 if we were tightening stuff up, but yeah.
And again, that's the less than $900,000 tank. They told us to use 2 million.
Yeah.
One thing,
Guys don't-
Jeff, to back to your question, if there was expansion, our capacity would get worse and the EPA's pressure would probably go up because the reason they're telling us we have to do something is we don't have enough storage capacity for the demand that we've got now. Right? So,
We don't have enough storage in the air for if we were to lose Illinois American.
Right.
The other thing that helps us is because Illinois American has the tower out.
They're just constantly feeding us, right?
Yeah. But that feeds everybody this way. So
What would we do on boil water?
it's not a boil order. It's just like there was a complete loss of water.
and I think the boil order is part of it because if you don't, the boil order has to extend for a period of time, right? If you
24
don't
hours
have
after you drop
the
the
backup capacity to.
How often
And the
do we go
longer that
24
is-
hours without getting fed?
Yeah, the longer that it happens, then the more the water's sitting in the stagnant.
And the tank itself has a life too. I mean, ultimately, at some point in time, and we've made this decision years and years ago, was when you rehab the thing to paint it.
Yeah.
Because replacement was not an option. Now maybe it is becoming one. So,
And I
but
know-
there will be a point where you'll have to either move forward with replacement or repair.
I think the last time we had somebody up there and they actually did a tank inspection, they said the lining was starting to go. Knock on wood.
Okay.
Is the EPA listening?
Brandon, do you have anything else?
I do not. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Miss Abby?
I just had one quick note about the appropriation ordinance. Just want to make sure a certified copy gets filed with the county clerk after it's adopted tonight. And that was it.
Yeah, that was easy. Thank you, Abby. Mr. Baylor?
Everything I've got's in the committee reports.
We're good. Okay. Move along.
What? You've got nothing?
That's right.
Committee reports, Mr. Charavalli.
I'm gonna let him talk about the appropriations ordinance because he said there was a slight modification based on the set of financials I assume from last month.
Yeah, we just made the net numbers had a change from like 52 and surplus to 49 and surplus or something like that. I just went through and when we got the last set of financials, I went through the numbers again and just kind of cleansed it. I moved some of the costs up and then I moved some of the income up based upon stuff that we saw. So it's really, really close to the budget that we approved.
Do we have the revenue that we get back on the Illinois funds into this budget?
Yeah, we already did.
Okay.
We've got it built in, but like I said, I only built in 20,000, and we're on track for 42, assuming the months stay the same. But the totals, if you add everything up for the general, we got a budget of $1,439,115 of income. Expense $1,192,013, so a surplus of $247,102. So we've allocated $198,000 to capital. So our net number after putting money into savings is $49,102, or about $50,000. Which, like I said, I think the budget we approved that I showed you was the number was like 51 or something like that. So it's the surplus after capital has gone down some, but not significantly.
That and our financial audits scheduled for the week of May 22nd. That's the end of my report.
No.
Well, we got to vote on something.
Oh, we
Abby, does this require a roll call?
call the ordinance.
Yes.
How come
Yeah,
we don't
sorry.
need it for youth programs? What are the poor youth gonna do?
It's in other places.
Is it? Yeah, I'll look.
Your paycheck.
Everything that we,
Yeah.
I think there's some of it's under the mayor discretionary. Everything that we've done in the past, we've got in the budget this time. I don't remember exactly where it is,
Your village president expense 1,000.
Ooh, that went up.
Trustees expense $0.
Yes.
Because you can't spend.
I don't know what I would spend. Maybe like a poster. Right over
Can
there.
I just read this title off the top? That's the properly worded way to make the motion.
Yep.
The 2023-2024 annual appropriations ordinance of the Village of Hannah City.
So moved.
I have a motion by Chair Valley, second by Sidak. Any further discussion? Any questions, concerns? Besides the youth?
Advocating for those youth.
What's that?
I said I'm advocating for those youth.
Okay.
All three of them.
No discussion, we'll roll call it. Pearson?
Yes.
Chair Valley?
Yes.
Sidak?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need to take a phone call real quick. Do you still have a
Are you done with quorum? And then the auditor? Yes, still have a quorum.
end of my report? Yeah, no problem. I'll be right back though.
Nothing for Johnson.
So nothing under planning and zoning. Sanitary sewer, Mr. Pearson?
Well, no, I'll wait for water, so nothing under sanitary sewer.
Water, Mr. Pearson?
Yes, sir. We've already had a conversation about the water tower, but we also had the leak detection happen, and yeah, the guy could find no major leaks that could be heard, which means a couple different things. First of all, he said our pressure makes it hard to hear. We just had that discussion. Second, our pipe material makes it hard to hear. So those two things combined makes it hard to hear.
And what are most of our lines? Are they just galvanized?
What is it?
Transite.
Yeah, it's
Transite.
transite. I knew it ended in height. I can't remember the beginning.
But you have a variety, and with the age of it and the span of age, there's a variety, but I believe it's the transite that makes us all grumble. There's one more reason.
And that along with if it is going into mine shafts or field tiles, we just will never know that by listening like this. So that goes into the plan to maybe reline all of the pipes and everything we want to do for that. We're working on the strategy how to do that hopefully we'll be able to present something here in the near future. But yeah, that unfortunately nothing detected there, but we're going to try to come up with a plan to address it so that we still get to take care of all of the pipes, which will take care of the leaks. So that's two detections that have found nothing. So,
Yeah.
And all the meters have been replaced. So yeah, next step is looking at the relining of the pipes themselves.
And this guy did say that he said if we had a major leak, he would be shocked.
So
Unless
with
it's
our,
going to one of those places where
with
you
our
can.
percentage, it seems like it must be, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Old Town's was all strip mine, so.
Unless like every pipe has a little bit of a leak in it. Yeah, maybe something's going down somewhere. And really, it seems the only way to
Brandon,
solve it.
have you run into this in other towns or?
No, I've not. You guys have done all the things that I did he provide a report, or is it just?
We're waiting.
We're waiting.
So he will. I'd be curious to see it. And early on is the only time I've looked at this. Pretty early on to look to see if there was a break point or inflection point. It was difficult to see because we just didn't have good data. The Illinois American billing cycle was different than yours. Didn't have a good measurement of overflows, of firefighting water, that sort of stuff, which all comes into the difference between what you buy and what you sell. I know you've gone a long way since then. What I was looking for was the break. You were 11, 11, 11, 11, 12, 30. Something happened right there. And we just didn't see it. It was a slow fade, which made me think meters. And my opinion is I still think that's where it's at. It's my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think the way our system's signed, it's not like we can say, okay, we're going to take section A, we're going to put a meter on it. Section B and put a meter on it. Everything is looped together. So,
Well, Jim and I did have a discussion about meeting with Illinois Rural and seeing if there were ways where we could it would cost money to segment the system, right, and put valves and meters in some places. And then we could at least maybe tell whether or not where the direction that water is going, if what's being used is consistent with what's being sold.
Yeah, because about the only way to do that is put a meter in an X corridor and watch its daily use. You'd have to check it late at night. Primarily, people aren't using water later in the evening when they're not using.
Or we'll eventually look at the bills for that
Right, those
area.
30 meters,
Compare
either
it, yeah. But again, there's costs associated with that, no guarantee on the back end. And again, I don't want to, I mean, I get it. It's double what the normal water system loss is, but financially, when we did the numbers, it was about 30 grand. And I don't want to scoff at 30 grand. 30 grand's 30 grand, but
How much money we want to throw at it to try to make up for that 30 grand is,
knowing if we eventually put in a water tower and the pressure goes up, then some things might reveal themselves.
yeah. Or relining them and
It's kind of the principle of it too, though, ain't it? It's just water just pouring into
Yeah.
random places and what other harm it could do if it's getting into different channels or
I agree.
getting into our sewer or getting into the lagoon
Or if it's getting into a shaft and creating a
bigger
sinkhole.
or eventually somebody's basement or
So hopefully, if it's in someone's basement, they call us.
Yeah. Mhm.
Unless they got a sump that's running all the time.
But you guys been talking about this forever, haven't you?
And early on, we looked at some that, again, this has been years, but we looked at, have we all of a sudden seen a huge increase in your wastewater pumpage? But that's tough because you have so much leakage in your storm sewer system. If it rains, is that coming from the water main? So that was difficult to see, but again, we were looking to see if there was an event, and we didn't see it.
Yeah, and that's something that's why we started relining some of the sewers is make sure we didn't have the infiltration. Plus, we could also help manage, look at other ways where we see a lot of water coming through. So,
and reline all of them, and then you should have a baseline there, right?
Well, again, we're lining storm sewers and sanitary sewers, not water lines. So, you'd still have that leakage. And then who knows where it would go if it wasn't going into the sewer.
I asked Jim that same question.
Do you
The
want
other
to
thing he
divert it?
told me is there's something about the housing foundations or something don't have something that normal or more modern developments do, and so he thinks we're still getting. Maybe I'm talking.
a lot of the old field tiles, a lot of the old residents were hooked right into the sewer system.
So that infiltration is not going to go away, even if you line the sewers, right?
Yeah, and that's primarily.
It's just going to make it get to the lagoon faster.
Yeah.
But back to the point, if the water is leaking and going into there somehow, then it's going to the lagoon and we're treating it and paying for it twice.
I know my house was built, I think, in 1968. And I actually have a sump where all my tile around my foundation comes in to one location and then comes into my sump, and then I pump it back out. So
To the ditch.
to the yard.
Right. Not the senators.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's another solution. We could make all the houses do something similar. And
They should.
Huh?
They should. You should not pump a sump pump into a sanitary sewer.
no, but what I'm saying is if you go back, some of that is retroactive, right? So are we going to go force all the homes that don't have that to spend the money to have to do that?
Your policy, I understand, because EPA got on years ago. Illicit discharge, illicit connections, pumping storm water into a sanitary sewer is a no-no. And if you know that's happening, and Jim, he went and looked and found several. And
But to me, what is there a difference between actually pumping it and it just being the field tiles that flow and it doesn't?
you're not treating it.
Correct.
Right, yeah, if your sump pump goes into the ditch, it goes into the ditch. If it goes into the sanitary sewer, you're pumping and treating it.
But if you're not, but let's say it's not pumping, it's just
They don't have
natural
some
gravity.
Infiltrating into your sanitary sewer.
It's just natural gravity going in through field tile, right hooked into the sewer system and not being pumped.
Right. Fuel tiles shouldn't hook on the sewer system.
Right.
And if you know that they're there, I know, Jim, that you have a program to remove them. Fuel tiles. So clean water shouldn't go into the sanitary sewer system.
I'll have
Does
to
it?
double,
Yes.
I'll have to double check with him because when I brought up what Jeff said, if we do the sewer lining, then the infiltration should go away. And he made this point that he didn't think that was true.
Because you're only lining the mains, you're not lining
The laterals.
what's private, essentially. And that's why when we did it, we stopped at either the property line or we put a clean out in and said, from here it's ours, from there it's yours. They could still be infiltrating all that, and you can't affect that. The only thing you can do is inspect it, cut it off, or have a big program where you would make them do it.
That's my point.
Yes, no, and yes, that's
That gets into illegality.
it does. That's where you do what you can in the EPA when you look for these issues. That's pretty much you do what you're in control of. Those people who smoke testing all the time to look to see if people are connected, roof drains, these sorts of things. You're not there.
Are we not relining up to the meter then of each home?
For a sanitary sewer, there's not a meter.
No, I mean I'm not thinking that through. So, well, you're saying you're not relining the.
Sanitary, we only do the mains. The laterals that go to the house, we do not do.
Okay.
Because technically that's the homeowner's responsibility.
But you're saying the only gap will be that though.
Correct. You've had everything lined.
Is if the water's leaking before their meter?
No.
And getting into
on sanitary.
No, I mean in our water lines.
Oh.
Because that's
He's
the
trying
water.
to combine the water.
Just saying, if the water's got to be leaking before the meter, if it's leaking after the meter, the homeowner should recognize it, right?
Yes.
I mean, I should know my water bill just went through the roof, or it's crazy to begin with. I'm just curious how much. I didn't know there was a lot of space between where my meter starts and where you're lining in.
Clean water infiltration because of leaks into the sewer system.
How much sewer is there available for before my meter and after your lining to even infiltrate? Or does it just run all over the place and you have no idea?
Yeah, I would need to
No, it'd be the same thing, right? Because the water line from the main to the house is the property owner's responsibility as well, right? So his point is, if it's leaking before the meter,
which is the only leak we wouldn't know about.
Right. Like so, let's say my main shut off valve. My main is in the alleyway. Or close to the alleyway, it's just inside my fence line on my property. But my meter is up inside the house. So anything that leaks from between there and there is not getting registered.
Right.
And his point is that could be going into infiltrating the sewer system and then getting pumped out, and we have a leak and we don't know it.
Right. That's really no different than the water main.
But normally your sewer and your potable and your non-potable water don't run parallel.
No, don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's you've done an exhaustive search looking for these things, and I just wonder if it's not in meters. And
We just replaced 600 of them.
Or we're getting scammed by Illinois American?
Looked at that long and hard.
Well, and now we're throwing out theories. We talked about
You can't sue me specifically for saying that, can
No.
That meter at least one.
Now we have a secondary meter now ourselves. We have our own meter.
But I thought they changed their course of billing when we did that.
Well,
they did.
The long story on that is we asked the Illinois American to change our water billing so we would fall in with our billing cycle.
Right.
They said no, they couldn't do that. So we changed our billing cycle to coincide with Illinois American's billing water reads. And I don't think it was a month later they decided to change their read dates.
But I will say, I think Jim's,
That's just a little fishy to me.
Jim is pretty proactive.
I think he's pretty comfortable that we're not perfect, but we're pretty well tracking.
Okay.
But
It's actually coming in.
correct. We actually have a couple of hydrants in kind of remote locations. So we've talked about buying trail cams and
Just to keep
seeing
it
if
on.
anybody's pulling up there. And I know it's a long shot, but I mean, somebody could pull up with a tanker, and I don't know. I mean,
Something weird going on, yeah.
I mean, it's a couple $100 for trail cams. So
I missed the beginning. You can update me later. I missed the beginning of your leak detection story.
Oh, there was nothing found.
Okay. Nothing found.
In the
Again-
report.
Again.
Yeah, our
That's
material is makes it hard to hear, and our water pressure makes it hard to hear.
So that makes your best guess, being that it's in our meters.
I have not had a chance to look at data in years, and Jim has, so I would certainly defer to him. I've not studied it in detail.
To me, I think we talked about, and I don't know if you were here or not, but maybe the next best step is to get with Illinois Rural and look at the total system and where all the pipes go and see if we can strategically place some meters and understand what the cost of that would be to see, because it comes out of the tower and it goes two different ways, right? But then the problem is then it loops back, right, in some places. So is there a way to put meters in strategic places that tell us, that would narrow it down to, well, there's the usage here is X, but what we're selling is Y, and there's a difference.
Wasn't another big problem though if we put in a new water tower? Any leaks we have could get substantially worse.
Absolutely,
because we're going to be putting in higher pressure.
So it does seem like something that needs solved before.
We would like to. Agreed.
Well, you're saying 30 grand. You don't want to scoff at it, but that could be 60 grand when we put in a new water tower. I mean, it could.
I understand. Or the flip side of it is now all of a sudden it's bad enough that it surfaces and we find it. I don't know. I'm stumped.
Oh, turn it up to 10. Let's see where those leaks are.
It's on 10.5 right now.
Pull it off to every house and see what happens.
Yeah, or it gets in that sinkhole, or we have something opens up.
Yeah, we find the old coal mines, huh?
Yeah.
That's something I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I look, it would be under this building if it all fell in.
No.
Man, you just drug on and on.
Yeah. Mr. Pearson, do you have anything else?
That is it, sir.
Okay. Bills and ground, Mr. Weaver.
I don't have anything.
Streets and alleys, Mr. Weaver.
Streets and alleys.
Okay. CEDC, Mr. Sidak.
All right, so we already introduced our most gracious volunteer, Danny Pearson, who's member of the CEDC. Thank you again, Danny.
Limestone graduate.
All right.
Brian held some kickoff meetings for the commercial and residential grant winners. I was in Bloomington when I got a phone notification on my phone that said the meeting I was supposed to be at for 15 minutes. So thanks for holding that without me, Brian. You might be able to speak a little more to that. Pretty much just want to.
Yeah, the meetings went really well. We walked through the process. We're actually having everybody fill out a permit so we know exactly what work is supposed to be done. Once the permit is done and we approve it, that'll set the date for the 180 days they have to do the project. They all know that. After the 180 days is up, they call the inspector. The inspector comes out and matches that the work matches what they said that they were going to do and that everything meets code. Then they'll turn in their final invoice, and then that invoice will come here, and you guys will vote and actually appropriate the dollars that you've already, I guess, technically approved to move.
And they were all appropriated, like everything was designated.
So on the commercial side, we're about $200 away from the max, and so we're not probably going to do a whole lot more.
Well, I've got somebody who might be able to use that.
Okay, and on the residential side, we were about $2,200 off, but we got a project today that I think is probably going to get approved and brought to the next meeting. And we'll still be underspent, but more like $400 or $500, something like that. So, and then we put out communications this week announcing who the current grant winners are, so people getting a little press on that. And then once they're done, we'll go out and take pictures with the final projects. Tony or Zach or somebody handing them a check and
old cardboard check.
Yeah, so we get a little
Ed McMahon style.
Get a little promotion that way. So
great.
Yeah.
We have also reached out twice to Zanes about the developmental agreement. No response. That is the end of my report.
I don't know what's going on there. We actually gave them more money, but
yeah,
maybe they're just busy too. Who knows?
Pillar of the community.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sidak.
Cassandra's got it in Eric's absence. Ms. Cassandra?
Okay, so we have a couple of suggested changes to the employee handbook.
You have a full copy of the most recent handbook in your packet.
The changes to be proposed are on pages 13, 32, and 35. The first two are clarification, sections to be deleted. The first one, only regular full-time, non-exempt employees will be receiving overtime pay. We need to delete that because Brad is our part-time, and he receives overtime pay for the time that he is here over 29 hours. So that is obviously no longer true. The second section is clarification. Because we pay hours worked means time actually spent on the job is not correct. Holiday pay does go included in there. So if they work 32 hours of regular time and then there's a holiday pay in there, and then they work 2 extra hours on the weekend, they're still getting overtime for those extra weekend. That holiday pay is included in there. So this needs to be deleted to better clarify the way that we're doing our payroll. The next section is an addition on page 32 to show that we do offer health benefits when we know what we previously did not. It's just a short little blurb that says we currently offer health benefits to full-time employees, those routinely working over more than 30 hours per week. Benefits offered include health coverage, dental and vision. Participation in health insurance is voluntary. Those wishing to participate will be responsible for half the insurance premium charged to the village, with each will be deducted from their paycheck. Short and sweet. And then the last correction is on page 35, where it says we don't offer health benefits. We need to delete that. Because we do.
If you remember a couple years ago, we went through this and really redid the whole handbook and got it where I think it was in good shape. But
yeah, and I went through it pretty intensely, and these are the only changes that I recommend. But if there's anything else that you guys think needs to be changed, I'm happy to listen to it.
And did we add into the, we already get, part-timers already get PTO?
Yes. Yes. That was what prompted this, was the new PTO time law that went into effect it goes into effect January. We are already in compliance with that, but these changes just are small and need to be done.
And we now have a process where Cassandra is going to review it once a year, and if there's anything we feel like we need to change, then we'll come back.
Do you need a motion for that?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the Village of Hannah City Employee Handbook new update.
Second.
A motion by Chair Volley, second by Sidak. And I'll just note that this is, the date on this is last updated March 23rd, 2023 as a revision, so we have it on record. Any further discussion? Mr. Chair Volley.
Yes.
Sidak.
Yes.
Mr. Weaver.
Yes.
And Mr. Pearson.
Yes.
Motion carries. You didn't do incident reports, did you?
Oh, that I do not have.
Okay.
Sorry.
I got it. So
Great.
So incident reports for April 9th through April 15th. There were 13 incident reports. April 16th through April 22nd, there were 14 incident reports. And normally I would have received something by now, but I haven't received anything from the Sheriff's Department. I'm late on those. And that's it for committee. Under other business, I'm going to skip down. I added something. I did go to the Logan Tivoli Fire Department meeting that they had last, can't remember. What day did I call you?
You called me Tuesday last week.
Tuesday, so I think it was Wednesday night. and went to their meeting. They said I was the first guest at their meeting in 25 years. So,
Holy cow.
yeah. Got to meet everybody, got to meet the chief, got to meet the 3-member board, the secretary, and that was pretty much it. That's all was there. So the fire department is really thankful for the help the village gives them when they need it. Like that, we definitely in support of them. It's everything that's going on in the village. And get back to our whistle. They said they get more calls when the whistle doesn't go off than when the whistle goes off. If somebody hears a siren and a vehicle siren and the siren hasn't gone off, they get calls and emails asking why the big whistle's not going off. I did talk to the chief on that. He says every now and then he goes, it's supposed to be from 8 to 8, but sometimes they've had a lot of problems with the timer that they have on that. So I know they were trying to get that corrected because there's a couple nights it goes off 10:30, 10:45, but it doesn't bother me. I like to hear it, know what's going on. So
What happens if there's a tornado at 10 a.m. today?
it'll go off.
If there were,
You know what I mean? I always wondered
well,
that.
because last month there were storm warnings and
Yes,
they
they
said
actually
they
canceled
canceled the.
I think I remember it not going off, actually,
Yeah.
at all,
They can't-
Yeah,
Till
because
till later that evening.
Yeah, Peoria County's pretty good about that. With the severe weather that we were expecting last month,
Mhm.
they actually canceled the test throughout Peoria County.
They did it in
We're
Woodford
having
too.
something. They canceled their test and then it
Canceled
didn't
in
work
Fulton
that
County.
night.
Can't win.
I hate that thing.
I do
I
too.
really do. I hate it.
I think you're on
You get used to it after a few years.
It'll
After
be,
You
few years,
do,
you
after
get
a
to-
few
well,
years,
it'll be
it's like the
2 years and 2 months,
airplanes.
so it's not
Sure.
there yet.
The airplanes going by.
I lived on Smithville Road before this, so yeah,
They-
I had that.
You
but
get used to
figured-
that too.
Somebody told me that it goes off 6 times a week, and I'm not here, but in the mornings usually. But
What does?
that siren, it goes off 6
6 times a day.
Day.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
6 times a day.
Seriously?
Yeah,
No way.
they're cold.
Well, but they're called for people falling.
My point is, I'm here half
Left
days
says-
for Monday through Thursday, and there's weeks where it doesn't go off at all.
Yeah, but then that
You
night
just
you'll
got
have 3 or
used to
4.
it.
Nothing happens during the day.
Okay.
Everybody's at work.
All the excitement happens after you go home.
At 2 o'clock. He's left. He's gone. Okay. Other business, item A. Teed up for the troops donation. I'm actually a committee member on this, so I'll just speak to it. The Teed Up for the Troops is a golf classic that's held every year. Was done at 2 courses, Mount Holly and Peoria Country Club, prior to COVID. Since then, they do the golf outing for veterans. And what it does is, with sponsorships, it allows military veterans to sign up to play a round of golf. They register at 6 a.m. They get to have a breakfast. We have an opening ceremony. They play their round of golf. They come back in. They have lunch, and we have a ceremony with the laying of the wreath. Normally, we have a color garden. Normally, we have a flyover. We have sponsorship from Peoria County not Peoria County. City of Peoria Fire Department will bring the ladder out, and we'll have the big flag over the 18th hole. We have a representative from a lot of the retired military community who come out and do sponsorships. We have volunteers throughout the morning for the veterans. All of the flags that are your flags for your pins are all American flags. So we have a flag holder at every hole, so the flags don't get laid on the American flags don't get laid on the ground. It is a great event. We're able to give back to the community. Just a couple of the sponsors you'll see there, not sponsors, grant recipients. On the front has been Central Illinois Goodwill, That's for the General Way Downing Home for Homeless Veterans in Peoria. Fuller Center Housing helps with fixing up people's veterans' houses and stuff, and they do all that work for free when they receive the grants from the Teed Up for the Troops. On our flight, we help support the sponsors and also help pay for the veterans to go see their memorials in Washington, D.C. And last year, Freedom Paw Service Dogs was a first-time grant recipient, and they do PTSD, dogs for veterans. And the veterans pay no cost to the training or anything for the dogs. And some are shelter dogs, some are purebreds. It depends on what they get donated to them sometimes too, but it's no cost. What we've done the last 2 years is normally we ask any of the veteran staff, which is Tracy, myself, include Jim, and then we've taken Joe from Pleasant Valley Water District, since all the help that he gives us throughout the year, and we go out and play the afternoon round of golf.
So we do the foursome.
Normally we do the foursome. They did raise their rates this year. They actually took one of the sponsorships completely out. There was a $1,500 one which we had done foursome, but now it has gone to $2,000. So.
Motion that we do the $2,000
Sponsorship.
whatever it is.
Second.
Fourth sponsor.
Third.
So we got a motion by Weaver, second by Sidak,
Third.
third by Chervally.
Yeah, before.
Any further discussion? Like I said, I am on the committee, and I am actually registering veterans as I'm the veteran chair. So I'm calling all these people and asking them, and one of the guys that I called today he's never played any before. He's been on the waiting list for the last 2 years. And I thought he was going to cry on the phone. He was like, I've been wanting to play and just haven't been able to play because not being able to get on. He goes, it's a great time to go out. And he goes, I go out and volunteer if I haven't been able to play. And he goes, it's good to reconnect with friends and, family and, your military buddies. And I know it seems weird, but it's just hard for civilians, and I say civilians lightly, to understand that when you've been through so much with some people, they're like your brothers and sisters. So, he was just so grateful that he was going to be able to play this year. And, I thank the board for approving this. And
This is what, our third year?
Sorry.
Third year that we've done?
Yes, this is our third year we've done it.
How many get to play that day?
We have 130 veterans that get to play in the morning. 120 veterans that get to play in the morning round of golf.
That foursome doesn't add up to 130.
Right. That's why I had to make sure I did the math right. We have 120 veterans that get to play.
Visible body.
We do 120 veterans in the morning. Then our sponsorship allows the sponsors to play the afternoon round of golf. Some of the sponsors that do buy 2 and 3 different packages will actually say, hey, we're not going to use our sponsorship. Put a veteran in.
To actually golf.
They're not actually
out
going to golf, so they'll have veterans come in and golf in the afternoon in their place.
Awesome.
So, like I said, it's a really great event. So, I'm normally there at 4 a.m., lining up golf carts, getting things ready, working with the country club personnel, make sure everything's ready.
They donate the place that day? Just wide open?
No, it's not donated. they don't charge us a fee to rent the club, but they allow us to have our event there for a cost. So, and then they help with all the organization, getting signs out, having people there.
Sure.
You know, get the bags up from the drop stand up to where the golf carts are and everything. So.
Call the question. Call the question.
Call the question. Call what question?
We already had a motion.
I
Now
know.
it's time to vote.
So we'll roll call it. And we start with Mr. Sidak.
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Chervali?
Yes.
Motion carries. Remind everybody, clear your schedules for Village of Hannah City Community Night, May 30th, 2023, which is a Tuesday night.
6 to 8.
6 to 8 p.m. at the Sportsman's Club in Hannah City. Abby, you're more than welcome to come out too if you would like.
So are you, Brandon, if you want.
It's on my calendar.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything. You're just going to show up. What these guys are putting together signs, so it'll say water and sewer, and you and Jim will sit next to each other, and it'll say streets, and you and Roger will sit next to each other, and we're gonna.
Does that mean I have to sit next to you?
Yeah, you and Cassandra.
I won't be sitting.
Finance category.
We're gonna try to get people to sign up for certain like online payments and those types of things. I have invited Mid-Century. I've not heard yet a response back from them yet. Anybody shows up and shows that they have a Hannah City address card will get a free T-shirt. So we'll have those laid out that people can get those. But we just wanted to do something where people had the opportunity to come and talk and ask questions. I know a lot of the grant recipients said that they were going to come to say thank you.
You've never done this before?
Never.
No, we've never had a meet the board, meet the village. So
Cool.
By the way, we did have free sign up today for golf carts inspections. I think we had two. We had two. We had 4 total last year. So.
Well, we have it again tomorrow. So.
Yeah, we have.
maybe Friday. So next item is C, Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act training reminder.
Should have got an email, right?
About-
The board. You sent an email to the
I
board.
did.
So all the board members have to do Open Meetings Act,
Yes.
and then FOIA is you and me.
You have to do it.
Or are you doing FOIA too?
Every.
The FOIA is, I believe, every year. The Open Meetings Act is within 90 days of taking office.
Ever?
Yes. Every time.
Every time you get elected?
Yes.
to something?
Correct.
Yes. Taking office or being
It
appointed.
took me like 30
If you're
minutes just to register.
What's that?
It took me just a good 30 minutes just to register.
So a normal person about 3 minutes.
I've already taken it, so that's why I didn't know if you had to do it.
Well, and Caleb sent an email saying he was having trouble getting a certificate, and I had the same problem. I couldn't get my certificate either. So I went through all the training steps, but it's got an error message when you get to the certificate.
Yeah.
So,
For you? Right.
so as long as you get it done, just let me know you've got it done.
Take a little picture.
Yeah, something, anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm supposed to have the certificates on file.
In case the election authority audits you.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's why I have to have your statement of economic interest on file too. So
Yeah.
that's why I hounded everybody. I was like, I have to have that.
So anybody else have anything to come before the board?
I wanted to mention, I left it on my desk. I forgot to bring it in here, but I received a thank you note that I showed you from Deborah Gibson's family.
Yes.
If you remember, we donated, made a $50 donation to the American Cancer Society in her name when she passed. For some reason, it came to my house, but it obviously should have come here. So I brought it in. I forget, it's sitting on my desk. But she wanted to thank us or not she, her family wanted to thank us for the donation made. So.
We did hand out as I say, the village. I was not able to make the Farmington Central Academic Foundation meeting, which also was last Wednesday. And they did hand out the scholarship. They had someone hand it out for me. I called and talked to them, and they were appreciative of our donation. And I will find out who our recipient is. I'm sure we'll probably get a card as they make sure that it's one of the first things they make them do is fill out a thank you card for the recipient of the scholarship.
I just thought of something too. We had an OSHA review and we had an EPA review, and we had to respond to each, and both of those are done.
And I actually finally got the IEPA letter. It was certified. It went to my house instead of the village.
And in in the response, I said that we had our permit, so I don't know if we need to re-up that.
You do have a permit.
Okay.
It's just not expired.
It's expired.
It is now? Yeah. So we have our permit.
Okay.
But
So
you would simply resubmit for it and get it.
So if nothing else, I will our next board meeting is May 16th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks all. See you, Abby. See you, Danny.